Today is the day. The 2026 FIFA World Cup opens in a matter of hours. Shakira is at the Azteca. The pitch is laid. 80 years since that stadium first hosted a World Cup final, it will tonight host the first match of the biggest tournament in football history. 48 nations, 104 matches, 3 countries, 1 summer. And yet, this morning, as the world prepares to watch the opening ceremony, there are reports being published right now, today, on opening day, that are asking a question nobody wanted to be asking on the day the football finally begins. Will the American stadiums be full? Not the Azteca. The Azteca will be full. It will be roaring. It will be everything that a World Cup opening match should be. But the 78 matches being played across 11 American cities, the matches that make up the structural spine of this tournament, those are the ones where the question of attendance has become, in the past few weeks, genuinely unsettling for everyone involved in this competition. Because something is happening that FIFA did not plan for. Something that is the accumulation of every decision, every price point, every visa delay, every news cycle, every canceled ticket, every fan who looked at what it would cost and what it would involve and quietly decided it wasn't worth it. Fans are walking away. Not in the millions, not in a way that will empty the stands completely, but in numbers that are real, documented, and growing. And on the morning that the tournament begins, the full picture of why that is happening and what it means for the sport is worth understanding properly. Let's start with what we actually know right now, this morning. A detailed analysis published today assessed what it calls the suppression of World Cup attendance. The word suppression is deliberate. This is a story about active barriers that are preventing people who want to come from being able to come. The analysis identifies 4 distinct forces working simultaneously against international attendance at the American matches, and each one has a different origin and a different weight. The first is the visa and travel barrier. 39 countries remain under some form of travel restriction to the United States. Many of those countries have football teams competing at this very tournament. Their supporters cannot follow them. A Somali referee who had been assigned to officiate matches at this World Cup was refused entry to the United States and will not be here. His photograph, holding the FIFA letter confirming his appointment, denied the visa that would have allowed him to do the job, was published this week. An official refereeing matches at a World Cup turned away. And then there is the social media screening. Anyone traveling to the United States on a visa is now required to disclose 5 years of social media history across every platform. Not a spot check, every account. Every post accessible to adjudication. An anti-corruption specialist at a major European law school speaking to a Swiss newspaper last week gave a stark and widely shared piece of advice. For fans, just one piece of advice: avoid the United States. You'll get a better view on television anyway. Former FIFA president Sepp Blatter subsequently posted on social media endorsing those exact words, the man who ran world football for 17 years agreeing publicly that fans should stay away from the tournament his own organization is staging. The second force is the ticket price wall. We have covered this in detail in previous videos on this channel, but the numbers deserve to be said plainly one more time on the day the tournament opens. The cheapest ticket for the World Cup final on the 19th of July through official channels is more than $4,000, 7 times more expensive than the cheapest final ticket at the 2022 World Cup. Attending 8 matches, from the group stage through to the final, costs a minimum of £5,200 at the lowest available tier. The Attorneys General of New York, New Jersey, and California have all launched formal investigations into FIFA's ticketing practices. 3 American states investigating the pricing model of a tournament being hosted on American soil while the tournament is in progress. The third force is something that was visible a year ago and should have been a warning. Before the World Cup, there was a dress rehearsal. The FIFA Club World Cup. 32 clubs from around the world, including Real Madrid, Manchester City, and a full slate of South American and African giants, playing a month-long tournament across American stadiums to test the infrastructure and build the audience. The Club World Cup was plagued by empty seats. Not at every match, the big games drew crowds. But match after match between globally recognized club sides produced stadiums that were visibly, embarrassingly underfull. The pattern was consistent enough that analysts started using the phrase soccer saturation, the idea that American sports fans, given the option of attending a football match, were not yet choosing it in the numbers the commercial model of these tournaments requires. That was 1 year before the World Cup. And the fourth force is one that has emerged most sharply in the past few weeks: the fear factor. Not an abstract concern, documented, specific accounts from fans who have decided not to travel because they do not feel safe entering the United States right now.
ICE, Immigration Enforcement, has not committed to standing down its operations during the tournament. Reports that enforcement agents could be present at matches to check spectators' legal status have circulated internationally. Amnesty International published a report in March calling the human rights situation in the United States an emergency, characterized by immigration policy concerns, restrictions on freedom of speech, and discrimination against certain communities. Nearly 17,000 fans have canceled their World Cup tickets, according to figures being reported this morning. The number is still climbing. Now, let's put all of this in its proper context, because on the day the tournament opens, it matters enormously to be honest about what this means and what it doesn't. The 2026 World Cup is not going to be empty. The Azteca tonight will hold 80,000 people in full voice. The Canadian matches, where the visa restrictions don't apply and where a nation chasing its first ever World Cup knockout stage result has generated enormous domestic energy, will be full and passionate. BMO Field in Toronto has expanded from 28,000 to 45,000 seats for this tournament, and it is expected to be sold out for Canada's opening match against Bosnia and Herzegovina tomorrow. The American matches between high-demand opponents, Argentina, Brazil, France, England, Spain, will fill. The big names draw the casual American sports fan who wants the experience regardless of the price. The quarterfinals and semifinals and the final itself will be full. The commercial infrastructure of American sports means that at the top end of demand, this tournament will look spectacular. But the group stage matches, the games between nations that haven't built American commercial followings, the matches that in a European or South American host city would be full of traveling supporters who have spent months saving for the trip, those are the matches where the empty seats are going to be visible. And empty seats at a World Cup carry a particular weight. They're photographed. They go viral. They become the visual shorthand for a tournament that didn't deliver what it promised. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar had this problem too. All games officially sold out, but rows of empty seats visible throughout. FIFA launched an investigation at the time. The blame was placed on corporate and government ticket holders who didn't attend despite holding seats. In 2026, the empty seats, if they materialize at the scale some analysts are projecting, will have a different explanation. They won't be corporate no-shows. They will be the seats that were bought by international fans who subsequently canceled, who ran the calculation, the cost, the visa, the social media screening, the safety concern, and decided the risk was more than they were willing to accept. A professor of economics who studies sporting events put it with uncomfortable precision this week. There's a real concern, he said, that you might end up with stadiums full of wealthy people on their phones taking selfies for their influencer accounts rather than vibrant and excited fans who are actually there for the football. That is not a fringe view. That is an academic economist describing a structural risk to the commercial sustainability of the world's most important sporting event. FIFA's revenue projections for this tournament are extraordinary. $13 billion in total commercial revenues, $40 billion in projected economic impact for the host regions. Those numbers depend partly on the stadiums being full of people who spend money in the cities around them: hotels, restaurants, transport. The multiplier effect of 1 million visiting fans moving through American cities over 38 days. If a significant proportion of those fans don't come, if the international attendance at American matches is materially lower than FIFA projected, the economic impact numbers start to look different. The hotels that block-booked capacity start to see gaps. The restaurants that hired additional staff for the summer start to recalibrate. The cities that spent billions on infrastructure upgrades start to ask harder questions about the return on that investment. Seattle reported a 17% drop in expected international visitors before the tournament even began. That is a documented figure from a host city published before a single match has been played. And underneath all the economics, there's a simpler question, one that football people, the ones who grew up with this game, who understand what a World Cup is supposed to feel like, are sitting with today. What is a World Cup without the fans who make it a World Cup? The atmosphere at Italia '90, the French streets in 1998, the noise in South Korea in 2002 when a nation discovered it could shake the world, the color of the African stands in 2010, the Argentinian millions in Qatar in 2022. Those weren't just crowds, they were the living proof that football belongs to the world, that wherever the tournament is held, the world comes, that the game is bigger than any one country's borders or prices or administrative barriers. That proof is going to be harder to assemble in the American stadiums this summer. Not impossible. The football will start, the goals will be scored, the great teams will play the great matches. And somewhere in the group stage, something will happen that reminds everyone why we love this game. A result that nobody predicted, a goal that nobody saw coming, a team that finds something it didn't know it had. That is what football does. That is what it has always done. But the conversation happening this morning, on the day the tournament opens, with attorneys general investigating ticket prices, with nearly 17,000 cancellations logged, with a Somali referee sitting at home because his visa was denied, with former FIFA presidents posting publicly that fans should stay away, that conversation is part of the record too. And when the final whistle blows at the stadium in New Jersey on the 19th of July, someone at FIFA is going to have to look at the attendance figures for the American group stage matches and answer a question they would rather not be asked. Was this the World Cup that brought the world together, or the one that started asking for the first time whether the world could still afford to come? The football begins today, and that question begins today too. Tell us what you think in the comments. Are you watching? Are you there in person? And do you think the attendance concerns will be visible once the matches start? This is the day we've been waiting for. Enjoy the football, and we'll see you in the next one.